What's up, you guys? First of all, it is 12:35 a.m., so I'm a little tired, but I got a busy day later today because it is technically Monday. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this video. But all narcissists, they do a boundary check on you. They test your boundaries. They all do a boundaries test. Let me tell you how most of them do it. Number one, they always come in with a problem. Like when you first initially meet that narcissist, guarantee you they presented some kind of a problem to you that you just like let go overhead, right? For example, like my ex-narc, his problem he presented to me was, I live with two roommates, excuse me, I am tired, sorry. I live with two roommates, and this one of my roommates is starting to make like uh sexual advances and passes at me, and I don't like her. I'm not attracted to her. It's weirding me out. I need to like get out of there. That was the problem he was presenting, right? Even though later on I found out that that wasn't his roommate, even though they call everybody their roommate when they're on the way to the discard. So at some point we were all the narc's roommate, right? But his problem was his roommate was sexually harassing him, which was something that I was like, dang, that really sucks, right? And that was a catalyst like to him being able to like move in with me because he had this problematic roommate, right? I'm sure with you guys it was something else. Whatever it was, when that narc met you, they had a problem. Or um also we'll do another one. Talking about exes is a really big deal. Narcissists always talk about their exes when you didn't even, first of all, it's a problem when someone brings up an ex when you didn't ask for the information. Okay? The next time someone brings up an ex to you and you didn't ask them about that person, you need to leave, because that's something that's either ongoing, and if it's not ongoing, they're not mentally and emotionally like out of it. You know what I'm saying? So back in one of my last videos when I said that some broad called him, turned out to be I want to say his ex, but I'm sure they were still involved, right? Now looking back, they were still involved. But when she called him while he was at my place at like 1 or 2 in the morning, right? And he was like, "Oh, that's just this crazy ex of mine." But he refused to block the number. When I was like, "Well, why does she still have access to you?" Right? Instead, he decided to call her crazy. Whenever someone calls their ex crazy, that's a problem. Okay? Anytime someone maliciously talks about their ex that you, number one, didn't ask to hear about, and then they call them crazy, 9 times out of 10, they're the crazy one. That ex was a victim of some sort. Okay? So that's how they come in with that problem. But if you don't bounce when they do those things, that is now a boundaries checkpoint that you failed. Okay? Now, I'm not like shitting on you. I failed it too. Okay? But what I'm saying is they now know I can do this. And this thing that I just did, that person should have, they know that you should have left them, right? They know that you should have left them alone. So when you didn't leave them alone, they're like, ooh, all right, that person's weak. That person's weak right there. Let's see what else I can do, right? So then once you actually get into a relationship with them, they'll start doing things like eventually, at some point in time, all narcs will have at least 1 or 2 nights or whatever where they didn't come home, or they drastically didn't come home on time, okay? I'm sorry, there's motorbikes in the background because people are just pieces of shit. Anyway, but like, yeah, where they drastically, like, they got off of work at 1 p.m. and they didn't get back until like 5, and there's no explanation for it, and they didn't answer their phone when you called, and they didn't text back, but you can see that they read it, or you message them on Facebook Messenger, and you can see the little ball drop down to let you know that they saw your message, and they purposely like didn't give a fuck, and then they walked through the door and they say nothing about it, like, hey babe, right? That has happened to me. That happened to me where, like, I have, like, for my elevator to this building or whatever, you can only go to your floor and, like, the laundry room, right? And so there's a key card. And at that point in time, the night prior, he asked to use the key card to go and visit his friend, Dave, who turned out to be his lover, whatever, right? And so he didn't come back. Like, I fell asleep like a normal person would do at like 2 or 3 in the morning. And when I woke up to take my son to school around like 7:30, he still wasn't home. He showed up at like right at the like last minute to where my son could go to school at like, I don't want to say like 8:30 in the morning, with the only key card that we needed for me to take my son to school. My son's sitting on the bed with his uniform on, like, what the fuck, right? And he's like, "Oh, what's up, babe?" And I'm like, "Dude, like, you didn't come back home last night." And he's like, "Man, what's the big deal?" Right? What's the big deal? First of all, doing that was fucked up. That was a boundaries test. Not answering the phone is a boundaries test. Not responding to text messages is a boundaries test. Coming home and casually being like whatever is a boundaries test. Also being like, what's the big deal, in response to my concern and my, we're gonna call it pistivity, being pissed off, right? Was a boundaries test. The fact that I didn't kick his ass out then, I failed that boundaries test and let him know I can kind of get away with a bunch of shit now, right? Excuse me. I had to scratch my nose. But that's another boundaries test. Where did you get boundaries tested? I know you guys got boundaries tested, right? Well, let me see another one. I'll give you one of my dad's ones, okay? Because y'all know my dad's a nerd. He has the woman that he's married to now is the back burner supply. Y'all know that. She was there before my sister was born. My sister's older than me. And her mother we don't have the same mom, okay? But he was with this woman named Gail, who he's now married to. But Gail, literally, he boundaries tested Gail by having a baby with my sister's mother, which was my sister. Now, he was with Gail when my sister was born. He was with Gail, but he had a baby on her. She didn't go nowhere. Boundaries test failed. Not only did he do that, but then he didn't stay with the lady that he had a baby with over top of Gail. He then met my mother, got married to my mother. Boundaries test failed because Gail still stuck around. Had a baby with my mother, which is me. Gail still in the background. Boundaries test failed then, right? Okay. Then it didn't work with my mother. Then he married my stepmother while Gail is still in the background. Boundaries test failed again. Every single time he did that shit, he pushed it further and harder to see just how much I can actually like do to you, bruh. They all do it. And then eventually, he literally stayed with my stepmom for like 25 years with Gail in the background. Then he cheated on my stepmom with Gail, but that's still a boundaries test. Gail didn't win because he was cheating on my stepmother. He was testing Gail's boundaries to be like, yo, you'll still give me a BJ? You'll still open your legs to me whenever I feel like it, even though I had 2 babies on you and I got married twice? Yikes, bro. Boundaries test. When he proposed to Gail and Gail accepted the engagement ring that she actually bought her own engagement ring, okay, from BJ's. I don't know that store, but apparently it's like Costco. But she bought her own engagement ring. Boundaries test. He had you buy your own ring, and he was still married to my stepmom while she bought that ring. And she knew that, right? Boundaries test. Failed again, right? Then my stepmom died, and even though my stepmom, like, while she was dying, my dad had a whole ass like prostitute friend or whatever on the side, right? I tried to tell Gail about it. She shut me down and was like, I don't want to know. Boundaries test failed again. So, like, not only did she fail all of that, he knew that not only could he push her to that degree, He knew that there was nothing from all of that shit he did. There's nothing that he could do really, for real, that Gail wouldn't stick around through because she was that weak, right? Boundaries test. Let me tell you about when the mistress in my marriage, okay, in my marriage, when I was married to the narc, and that female called me up or contacted me on Facebook Messenger, right? And we spoke, right? One of the main things she said as she was bragging about him taking her on a date, she said, yeah, I'm surprised because from what he said, I thought you were going to be crazy. She didn't realize, like, dumb bitch, first of all, you're with a man that even put you in a position where you felt like you had to call me about it. You're with a man that you're calling his wife. So, boundaries test. You failed, bitch. You're calling a man's wife, wondering whether or not she's crazy because you're fucking him. Like, no scruples, right? Aside from that, you thought that I was crazy from what he said. So basically what you just told me is you let him bust a nut in you and then roll over and pillow talk about me. Where they do that at? Boundaries test. Failed. He took you to a restaurant that you bragged about. Oh, he took me to a restaurant, girl. He brought me roses, girl. He spent $500 and all this stuff. Yeah, but across from that restaurant table, he spoke to you about me. He showed you pictures of our child. Boundaries test, you dumb bitch. Boundaries test. Anytime someone does that to you, anytime someone disrespects you, your child, your mama, your relationship, when they cheat on you, don't come home, or whatever it is, steal from you, take your money, didn't ask permission for this, insult you, let somebody else insult you, and they don't defend you, um, quit their job on purpose and watch you work like a dog while they lay on their ass and play video games. Narcs like to do that. Boundaries test. That is pushing your ass. Let they mama disrespect you. Let they mama disrespect them, but they still respect their mama openly more than they respect you. Boundaries test. All of that shit is a boundaries test. Okay? Talk about their ex to you. Call somebody else crazy around you. Call you crazy after they discard you and then try to come back and chill with you. Boundaries test. All right? Anyway, narcissists will test your boundaries. And in the future, whenever you meet someone, the minute they do any of those things, hopefully you don't make it to some of the latter, like not coming home because you won't live with them. But the minute they bring that ex up in your face and they start rubbing doo-doo in your face, basically that emotional doo-doo, they try to smear it on your face, smack, smack. Febreze their ass, spray their ass with rakes, die roach, boundaries test. Don't fail them. All right? Long video, but love y'all. And good morning. All right.